Says now recording. Okay, so now we're recording.
Okay.
So I want to hear everything about the book that I read. How did you even come up with this idea with the method acting? That was so unique.
You know, I was watching I don't know if you've ever seen it, Johnny Depp in Secret Window,
Ah, yeah, I
which
did
was,
actually.
yeah, it's a really good movie, but it was written by Stephen King. And so I read the short story. It's a short story in one of his big, thick books. And I thought to myself, I wonder what would happen if instead of him having that personality issue, without putting a spoiler on this, if he was a method actor within that story, so that he was given that part, let's say, to play, but he got so embroiled in that character that he became that character. How would that actually work out? So it'd be a bit like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Mr. Brooks with, I think it's called Mr. Brooks with Kevin Costner. And it's an old movie, but they never show it. And I keep trying to get it on Netflix even now, because it's very similar in the way it's written to that storyline, I think. But there's a lot of method actors out there, and I keep looking at them and thinking, how far are they going deep into that personality, into that psychological sort of, I don't know what you call it, that feeling of being that character, because some of them are so brilliant at what they're portraying. You wonder how they then separate when they stop filming.
Keith
And so
Ledger
that's
had the
what
trouble.
gave me the idea.
Keith Ledger had trouble with playing the Joker. So I was thinking about him.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yep. See, there's so many people. Daniel Day-Lewis in, say, Last of the Mohicans, apparently he spent many weeks out in the middle of nowhere wearing a loincloth probably, and his long rifle, living on the land and becoming that character. So, you hear about it all the time. People on set are being treated by that actor as if they were that character. So I just thought maybe it would be a good story.
It was awesome. Did you do research on the psychological element? Like, did you have to go through research about actors, or you just thought about it and combined some things that you already know?
I think it's a bit of both. I did an enormous amount of research into actors and their behavior as they were filming, and how they separated when they came out, and how it impacted their families, for instance, their wives or their partners or whatever. So I did both sides of that. Then weirdly, I looked at Marilyn Monroe's, what do you call it, psychotherapist or psychoanalyst, how he used to go to her, or she used to come to his house for deep, therapy. And so that was the Maggie Russell character in Play Him, Play Her, similar to Marilyn Monroe's therapist. The script elements were really important to the plot, because it shows you his Zane Osborne's character, Dr. Holloway, or Mr. Holloway, I should say, because he was a surgeon. So Ethan Holloway is the character he plays. And so Holloway then becomes, or I should say, Zane Osborne becomes Ethan Holloway. It was hard to go a deep dive into the psychoanalysis, I think, of what actors actually do go through and how they cope with it, because many have had real difficulty separating from those characters when the cameras stop rolling. So, it's not an easy thing for a lot of them to actually do. But I didn't know that. So going into it, I had to read all the books on method acting. It was a pile this thick. And I did as much research as I could. I listened to interviews on YouTube with lots of actors, and it was fascinating what they were talking about.
Which actor impressed you, like with what they went through, or it was like very hard? Which had the
I
most
think Johnny
difficult?
Depp was one of the ones that I kind of really thought was amazing. Daniel Day-Lewis, as I say, whole string of them. I'm trying to think of the ones that really impressed me. I think who was that actor? Always forget his name. Who did The Revenant?
Ah, Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes, I
And
always forget
Tom
his name
Hardy.
for some reason. Yeah, that movie. I mean, think about that. If you look it up on the internet, what he did to go through that is just formidable. And so someone like that really impresses me as to how deep they go into the many different layers of the characters they play. And I just had to do that. But at the same time, I couldn't put that in the book because it would become too complicated and too deep, I think. So I had to really figure out what I was going to keep and what I was going to lose, from writing it to make it as easy reading as I could possibly do it. And so I hope that came across. I hope that all of that sort of, was in the book, and people would enjoy those layers.
I really enjoyed it. It was so unique, and I've never thought about it. I've seen articles, like even like when was it? Like 2 months ago, I read about Florence Pugh that she had to go to therapy for depression after
Oh my
she
goodness.
acted the Midsummer, which was a
Yes.
very difficult movie. We've watched
Yeah, very
with Jonas like
difficult.
2 years ago.
Yes.
So having that in my head and then reading your book, I was like, wow.
Well, thank you so much for reading my book and for enjoying it. I really appreciate that. It's lovely to hear people's opinions, as to how they feel when they read it.
And now you have a book too?
Yeah, I have this one, Hidden Remains, has just come out. So, and at the moment on Instagram, I'm getting a lot of lovely reviews. They're really enjoying it, and they say they like it because it follows on from Play Him, Play Her. So you've got the same characters. You've got Zane Osborne and his wife Lilia, and you've got the same people are within the house. It's within this. She then becomes a restaurateur because that's what she wants, and so Barton Manor then becomes this lovely restaurant, country restaurant, and she's really trying to make things, happen in the best possible way. With the same time, having her husband, at the end of the first book, having, happened what happened. I don't want to say too much, but it follows on literally from there. So I think although a lot of people have read it as a standalone, it probably is better to read the first book just to get a grasp of those characters because of their backstory.
Oh, wow. Do you have any, are you writing now something else, or do you plan to write like another story, like for next
I've
year
got
goals?
I'm writing something else at the moment, a completely different book, a standalone. I had thought of doing a book three, but I think two is probably enough. From where it ends in book two, it's probably where it should be. And so I decided to write something completely different for the next book. And I'm just plotting and planning that at the moment. I'm probably about 11,000 words in, but it's early stages. So I'm still kind of reading and researching and trying to sort of get everything cobbled together. It takes a while, as you know.
And may I ask, so it sounds like you're a plotter, not a pantser. So you
You
outline?
know, um, I'm more of a pantser, weirdly,
Okay.
but I do like to sit on a Sunday afternoon and do what I call a chapter plan. So I'll start with, say, a hook, and I'll write my hook. Then I write my blurb, and then I'll write a 1 or 2 page synopsis because I always know the beginning and the end. I just don't know how my characters are going to kind of get there. And so I'll do a chapter plan. I'll start writing the chapter. I'll pants the first 3 chapters, and then I'll go back and say to myself, okay, now I really need to plot. So I'm a little bit topsy turvy because plotters do everything first. And I find that that's not spontaneous enough for me. I find that really cramps my style. And so I guess I do a bit of both,
Hmm.
but
Very
probably
good.
back to front.
And if I may ask, just curious about the writing process, do you have a certain amount of time per day you write, or do you do a certain word count per day? Like you focus on, I must do so many words? Or, in other words, I guess the question would be, how do you remain motivated to complete the novel?
It's right for 4 hours a day
Okay.
without fail. And I don't do word count. I just write. And I'm just happy to have written something. Um, and again, I'll go through my chapters. And if I have a plan, like for instance, the night before, I'll just put on that chapter. This chapter is about such and such. It'll just be a paragraph. And then I pants the rest of it.
Mm.
So if I can try and get a chapter a day, that's great. If I can't, it doesn't matter. But the word count is kind of irrelevant to me. I know a lot of people put a huge emphasis on word count, but I think for me, that would make me too anxious.
Mm.
And I don't think it, for creativity sake, I guess, I prefer just to let it go.
Mm-hmm. Great. Again, and one of the last questions, again, if you don't mind being
Yeah.
transparent about this, how long would you say on average it would take you to do a first draft?
Oh,
And
that's a
no
very,
issue. I mean, whether it's a
yeah.
month or two or six or a year, I don't know. I'm just curious, what would you consider a length of time for a first draft?
Ooh, 3 months.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's pretty
That's
good.
usually my first draft. And then after that, it's a lot of editing, a lot of polishing.
Of course.
So, with books, it takes a while. Some people are brilliant and can write a lot of books per year. I prefer one a year,
Mm.
honestly. But if I could do two a year, that'd be brilliant. I just
Yeah.
haven't been able to do.
No, 3 months is a good number for a first draft. I mean, Stephen King once said first draft should never take more than 90 days.
Yeah,
That's one
yeah,
of his quotes.
yeah.
Um,
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
so, well, you're staying basically within that parameter, so that's fantastic. Or
Right.
around it. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, around it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
More or
Yeah.
less. Yeah.
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 Do you have any other job besides writing, or this is your main job? So you can
This
just
is my main. This is my main thing right now. I gave
good.
up work a few years ago. In fact, quite a long time ago. My husband is an Intel engineer. So at the higher he got, the more I was able to stay at home. And the first thing I did was do a writing course with Curtis Brown Creative. I don't know if you've heard of that, but
Mhm.
they're a really good group in London. They also have a literary agent, Curtis Brown. So it's all part of that, I think. And I did classes with them, and I've done so many other classes. I think Jericho Writers was another place I did classes with. But one of the things that I joined was a website with HarperCollins, the publisher, many years ago had a thing called Autonomy. And a lot of authors out there that I see are people that started at the same time with me in Autonomy, where it was a website attached to HarperCollins, which showcased new writing talent that was coming up, coming out there, so that they could see if there was anybody that they would like to publish. And so if you got onto the editor's desk with a book, that's great. And if you did even more than that, and I know there were a couple of people I remember who actually got published by HarperCollins as a result of that. So that's kind of where I started with a lot of other authors in my group, probably about 20 of them. Many of them have gone on to having agents, literary agents, and are now published by, big trad publishers and have done extremely well, fantastically, actually, and have been very, very lucky with, their writing career. And some have had a writing career and are now independent, because they've either chosen that way or they just had maybe a 2 book contract, and that when that came up, they still want to keep writing, obviously, and so they're now independent. So it's great to see lots of other people from the same family, doing so well.
Yeah. Were you always interested in writing psychological thrillers?
My go-to genre, oddly, is historical fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I first started out. I wrote a couple of books that were Egyptian fiction, I think, at the time. I did so much research into Egypt. I just loved all of that. But when I was in school, I read a lot of what I call historical fiction. it could have been anything from sort of Lady Antonia Fraser books, the non-fiction, Philippa Gregory, all those kind of things to fiction. It ranged, I think at that time, most of us were into the historical fiction. Not many of us had really grasped the contemporary fiction. There was a lot of what I call Jackie Collins readers out there at the time, and Jilly Cooper and things like that. And I don't think I was really into them. Not until much, much later when I thought, oh, I'll pick up one of these books and see what it's like. And you get hooked, in these stories that they write. But psychological fiction came much, much later. And I read a lot. I tried to think, oh, Gone Girl was my first. I loved it. I mean, I thought, what a great book. So I don't know, that was probably the biggest classic book that everybody thinks about, when you think of psychological thrillers. Girl on a Train, I really enjoyed that. I think that's Paula Hawkins, isn't it? I'm not sure. And lots of people, Lisa Jewell, I love, Louise Candlish. I mean, the list is endless. Ruth Ware. They do lovely books, and I just got so into all of that. I thought, this is the genre I want to learn how to write in. So that's how I arrived at this. And also, my father was a writer.
Oh,
He wrote a lot of books. Well, not a lot of books, but he wrote one in particular, and that was published by Pen and Sword, Leo Cooper's publisher, who was the husband of Jilly Cooper, who I think passed away just recently. But Dad knew amazing people. He knew C.S. Lewis. He would go to C.S. Lewis's house in Oxford and, have dinner there and that kind of thing. And he was at Oxford and he was tutored under Professor Tolkien. That's J.R.R. Tolkien. And so the stories when I grew up, Dad would just put us to bed and start reading The Hobbit or anything like that. So it's really in our genes, I guess. And my twin brother writes books too, so
oh, geez.
big
Writing
writing
family.
Yes, and my cousin is Nina Stibbe, so she writes. She does a lot of writing too. So everybody's doing something.
That was one of my next questions was how to pronounce the last name.
Oh yes, Stibbe. Yeah.
I was just saying Stib. I was
Yeah.
losing the B and the E at the end.
Yeah, it's not an obvious name. It's one of those Germanic names that is actually in Germany, it's pronounced Stibbe or Stibbe. So the E is an A kind of thing. But in England, for some reason, it was Stibbe. So don't know why.
And so I'm assuming then it's your real name. You didn't take on a
Yeah,
pen name.
that's my maiden name. Yeah, that's correct. That's my maiden name. My married name I don't use in writing. So
I forgot I wanted to ask because someone just messaged me. I'm too sick to participate. Have fun. So I had a question in my
oh,
head, and that caught my
that's fine.
attention.
Well, one of my other questions was about a pen name, but it's been answered. Having said that, research has shown that with thrillers and psychological thrillers, over 80% of authors use pen names in that genre. Even Frida McFadden is a pen name.
Yes.
Almost everybody has one. And it's the lowest percentage is, I think, 18% of all psychological thriller or thriller authors use their real name. And so that's why I was going to ask, is this a pen name or not? So anyway, that now you know the root of why I had the question, but
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I often think of Frida McFadden because is she a neurosurgeon or a physician's assistant? I don't know, but
yes,
she's a
at the Boston Hospital, she's in the the brain department. I don't know what they
yes,
call that, but off the top of my head now I forget, but she's
neurology is it?
yes,
Yes,
assistant
yeah,
there. But
yeah,
I understand she's retired recently.
yes. Well, she must have been. I mean, it's amazing because she's done so well with her books.
Hmm.
I mean, they must have sold millions by now.
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't even looked at her stats. I was going to go on, I think it's Wikipedia or something like that to see if she was on there as and how many books she'd sold, but she has done phenomenally well. And
Yes. Her numbers are over 5 to 10 million US dollars per month.
what?
Yeah.
No.
She's
Oh
actually
God.
Jaw drop.
sitting. She's actually sitting to unseat James Patterson as the highest thriller paid author in the world. She's right on the
Wow.
edge of unseating him. And so he interviewed her and they did a YouTube video, a YouTube interview, because he can't get over how she's about to kick him into spot two.
It's amazing. I mean, and to have kept her anonymity at that hospital
Yeah.
and live that secret, though, Jonas, how did she do that?
And, well, she wears a wig. The wig, the author photo is a wig. It's not her real hair. She has long flowing
Okay.
hair. Her real name and her identity, everything is extremely hidden to this day. Even everyone she worked with. She would see her books at the hospital, people reading them, and she couldn't comment. But they know now. But anyway, it's she even started as a self-published author.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
Anyway,
did.
we're getting off topics, Rania. I'm sorry. I just was,
Oh,
yes,
it's okay.
conversing about the pen name, but yeah, I don't want to steer off Rania's questions, but it's quite an interesting conversation, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, it is.
I wanted to ask you if you read a book that changed your perspective. Like if
I'm
there
sorry,
is,
can you repeat that?
yes, if you read a book that changed your perspective, like after that book you were different.
Ooh,
You mean in general, like any book?
Yeah.
ooh, gosh, I can't think of anything offhand, actually.
Well, can we rephrase it to what was her favorite book?
Yeah.
Do you have a top book you would recommend to someone? Because
Ooh,
that made you feel something. It changed you in some way. It
yeah.
reached into your heart at some point, or
There was one book a long time ago that I read. It was a short story by Paul Gallico, and it was called The Snow Goose.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you've read about it or anything, but it was about this lighthouse keeper, as far as I recall. And it was a movie back in the 70s, very grainy now. You could probably see it on YouTube, but and it was Richard Harris, I believe, was the actor who did it. And Jenny Agutter played the little girl Fritha, I think her name was in the film. But it was about this goose that would come back every year to the lighthouse where they became friends. Fritha was a little girl who made friends with a much older man who was played, as I say, by Richard Harris, and I forget his name in the book. But the reason it changed me so much, and I think that was one of the things that made me want to write so much, was the beautiful language, the beautiful sentences, the story that surrounded the relationship between these two. And the thing that bound them together was the snow goose that came back every year and circled the lighthouse, but had a broken wing. So they fixed the wing together. And together, that relationship, two people who didn't know each other, but who both had so much frailty. He had a limp, I think, and she had sort of more psychological issues. And I just loved the way they bonded and came together over this bird. So The Snow Goose by Paul Gallagher, I think, was probably probably one of my favorite books. And of course, The Lord of the Rings, without fail. I mean, huge world building within that you can just get so lost in, and made me, at the time, I remember being quite young and not being very happy. And I was at boarding school, and being able to sort of be completely swallowed in this wonderful world of writing and reading. And it just made me feel so much better. So
Awesome.
probably those two books.
Did you watch the movies? Just curious.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, they are go-to movies. Every year I watch. I mean, I do a binge watch,
I do the same.
either The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings. I just love them. They were so good. They're so good. I think they're produced or directed by Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
That I mean, and incredible. Do you like them too?
Yeah, that was my favorite movie. I've watched the only movie that I went to the cinemas 3 times to watch. It was the first one.
Wow.
3 times. That was crazy. And
Yeah.
I think the first one, there are some lines that I know by heart. So like they could just speak and I know what they'll say. I know this, I
Yes.
know that because I've watched it like
Yes.
more than 10 times.
Yes. Lovely. Lovely. Yeah, they're brilliant.
I want also to ask you, when you write, do you listen to any music?
No, not until I edit. That's when I might sometimes put some music on, but when I write, I'm completely in the zone and I need complete silence. And, if somebody's making a noise in the background, it can bother me, but I'm trying really hard to sort of make it white noise, But no, if I listen to music, then I want to listen to the music. I can't do both. It's really weird.
Oh no, it's not weird. I understand. There are some people who work this way and other people who work another way. So when you
Yeah.
listen to music, what kind of music are you listening to? I'm just curious
Oh,
asking these questions to others.
I love Billie Eilish.
Mhm.
And I love classical music, and I love, oh gosh, a whole list of things, but I don't know really what type of music that is. I mean, and film theme tune music I like too. There's certain
Soundtracks.
pieces, yeah, that really, so lots and lots of, I would say, more instrumental. Sometimes there's a certain type of music I'd have to ask somebody, what is my taste? Because I've never, I like little bits of everybody's music sometimes, so it's very hard to sort of gauge it.
Yeah, it's fine. You listen to everything, so
Yeah.
I don't know if Tina has any questions.
The questions have been answered. You guys have asked a lot of the questions I was thinking of, but I just wanted to offer, though, I'm an avid reader. I'm not a writer of the, you're talking a lot about it, which I find fascinating. Always have. But I'm new to the genre. So, and I met Rania and I met Jonas, last year. And but the one thing I wanted to point out is your book is one of those page turners for me. So when I get into, because I read quite a few, I love them. I love psychological thrillers.
Yes.
It's one of those I couldn't put down. And it reminds me of the same thing, Rania, of My Wife in Ruins. Same thing. I just couldn't put it down. And I get in there and I'm like, don't bother me. I'm in the middle of this Woman in the Woods, Jonas. You know how much I love that one, That one blew my mind. I still think about, because I can create that, but I appreciate the writing and everything that you put into that, because it's just been a lot of fun being new to the genre, and I just soaking it up. So
Well, that's great that you thought it was a page turn and not one big yawn.
No, not at all, not at all. So it's been fun. It's been fun being part of the Rania's book club, and give me more things to read that I normally would not have known. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I try to help authors that I don't see on the pages of the psychological thriller groups, because I go everywhere, and I'm like, okay, I've seen this again and again and again. I'm like, okay, we get it. We love John Marsh. Okay,
Yes.
Frida. Okay, someone else.
I know, someone new, someone different. Yeah.
Well, okay, I don't have any other questions because you answered very precisely, and you didn't talk, like I have with some interviews, people, I just ask one question and they talk for 10 minutes. Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah,
But
that's
now
good.
I don't have any other questions, so I don't know if Jonas has.
No, I think I've asked anything I needed so far. I always ask more questions about the process, but I'm fascinated by how other writers get to the same conclusion that we all seem to get to, the published book.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we can free Claire.
Well, thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it, Rani, and it's lovely to meet all of you, Jonas and Tina too.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Lovely dog.
Thank you for joining us, and now you can go and prepare all your
Get back to your holiday weekend. Yes.
I just hope we had more people, but I can't get people like the when.
That's okay.
Hard. They will see the replay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you
so much.
Have a nice day.
And you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.